Welcome to this week's podcast episode. I've brought back Cindy Ellen. She joined me earlier this year, but Cindy, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me, Heather. I'm so excited to be here.
We've both been gone through quite a bit and changes and transformation over the past few months, but what I'm excited to talk with you about is a recent event you attended and now how you just have these feelings of being unstoppable.
Yes,
So
I'm
maybe,
so excited.
yeah, give a little background in case people haven't heard you before, but where do you live and what do you do?
My name is Cindy Ellen. I live in Edmonton, Canada, Great White North. I am a life and business coach for fierce, determined female entrepreneurs who are ready to take their life and business to the next level. I help them with overcoming limiting beliefs and blocks so that they can achieve the life that they know they deserve. I live in Canada. I'm also very passionate about animal rescue. I'm a foster home for injured, abused, and abandoned dogs. And that's me.
So speaking of limiting beliefs, what does this mean to you that you now feel unstoppable? What happened?
Well, I feel as though kind of after this event that I attended, just so everyone knows what we're referring to, I had recently gone with my husband to Chicago to the Tony Robbins Unleash the Power Within event, which was a 4-day live immersion event, and it was absolutely incredible. I've done a lot of personal development, and I really enjoy seeing different approaches and the way that people present information and taking the opportunity to learn and transform in different environments and different ways. And this certainly was a lot different than anything else that I've ever experienced. And that's, I think, why it was so exciting. His approach was so different. What I enjoyed most about it was that a lot of times in the personal development work that I've done, and Heather, you could probably relate to this, whether I'm reading a book or attending an event or doing an online coaching program, I find that a lot of times the concepts can be complicated. There's so many things that you have to think about and consider in order to feel like you're really making it, and all these different shoulds, or you should do this or should do that. Make sure that you're monitoring these thoughts. Don't think like this. Think this way instead. But instead of all of this kind of jumbled up messaging and complicated approaches, he takes these theories or just different ways of thinking, and he breaks them down and makes them really simple. And so it makes it really easy to implement. You don't feel like you are grasping for all these different concepts. Did I forget something? Oh, I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't think this way. It just makes it really straightforward, really easy. And so it helps break down your own internal barriers a lot faster. For a long time, I felt like, it was going to take me so much time to work through my limiting beliefs, or so much time to change my mindset. But he teaches you that you can literally just do it at the snap of a finger, right?
Yes.
And that is what is so freaking cool. I don't need to do an extra 6 months of coaching or 6 months of whatever in order to have the result that I want right now. I can choose to have that today. And if I just change my mind and implement the tools that I've learned, boom, here I am, and I can do it.
Yes.
Right. And maybe you can relate to this too, Heather, but the whole experience where after the first day, and it was my birthday on July 12th, which was the Thursday that we did this, which made it even more incredible for me. But we walked on fire. So we were able to walk through a bed of hot coals. And so achieving something that in my mind, I had no idea, even going to the event, I was like, I'm probably not going to do that. I'm probably just going to, let Ryan go and he can do it. And I'll just wait over here and I'll cheer him on. But I don't want to do that. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And when you finally achieve that, that gives you this feeling of pure power and unstoppableness.
I agree. So I actually have attended, the reason I can understand and relate to Cindy, I attended UPW as well, actually in 2017. And what she's talking about is at the end of the first night, and it's a long day. So I remember, I think we did it around midnight, maybe 1 in the morning.
Yeah.
So it's a long freaking day. But Tony, you're right. He's a phenomenal storyteller. But what he gets you, it's all about getting in state. So Tony gets you in state, and then he teaches you. I mean, you have to go do it yourself, but it's saying this affirmation about cool moss, cool moss, cool moss. And that's how powerful our minds are. And I actually, similar to you, I got to the end of the day, I was so psyched. And then fear set in, my head was talking real loud, and I was like, I'm not doing this. And then part of me, thank goodness my partner next to me that day, she pulled me along. And we, even when we got outside to the parking lot to actually do it, even then, I was so full of fear. My stomach hurt. And then something clicked, and I was like, no, fuck it. Like, I'm going to do this. This is going to define a huge part of my life. And if I can do this, then yes, quote, we become unstoppable. And really, for me, that walking on coal, walking on fire was a metaphor for life. And when I
Yes.
got through, I'm getting chills right now talking about,
Me
but
too.
when I got through to the end, it was like I almost wanted to cry, just this huge sense of like relief, and the fear had escaped me. It was amazing. So yes, to be unstoppable is so powerful.
Yes. Your what you're describing is very similar to how it went for me too.
I would,
Yeah.
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 So then now, because you're more fresh, just coming from it a couple of weeks ago, now that you feel unstoppable and you feel you have these tools that Tony teaches that we all have inside of us, what do you do now?
That's a really good question. I don't know. Um, I'm in the process right now where I've had a few seeds of ideas of things that, in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh, well, that may not work, or oh, I might not, or what if no one signs up for that, or what if I offered this and no one liked it, or whatnot. What I'm actually doing is kind of more of like a fuck it mentality. Am I allowed to swear on here?
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
be you.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I've got a fuck it mentality. So as an example, I had this idea. I was reading, I don't have it here, Brene Brown's new book, Braving the Wilderness. And I resonated with it so deeply. I was like, I need to start a book club so that I can have friends to talk to about this. And so instead of like the old me would be like, oh my God, if you offer a book club, no one's going to show up. Like, why would you even do that? Da, da, da. But like 15, 20 minutes later, I launched book club and I'm doing book club Thursday night. So just as an example, things like that, I'm just tuning in. I'm really allowing myself to be guided, and also recognizing that up until this point, I've been a giver. And I am just I've got a very big heart, and I want to help other people. And so in business, even still, and in life, I always prioritize helping everybody else out. Like, if you needed help with with something, Heather, I would, help you out. I would prioritize what you needed. I would help my friends out and help them, but never really prioritizing me and what I need. For example, like the first thing that would get cut off of my to-do list would be going to yoga. Especially if somebody needed my help, or, I often, like I mentioned, I foster dogs. So if I've got new puppies, which I do right now, I prioritize sticking around and making sure they're okay instead of doing what I need to do for me in order to be at my peak state, in order to be at my optimal best self. And so now taking that time to reflect and recognize I can still help other people once I've helped myself.
Right.
Right. So that's kind of like my main focus right now, is just rearranging myself and prioritizing what I need in order to keep my mind where I need it to be so I can perform at my best.
And I've actually talked about something similar in previous podcasts, but it's that whole oxygen mask example from a plane. But if you don't take care of yourself first, you actually have nothing. I actually interviewed my cousin who has 4 children, and it took her until her 4th child to realize, whoa, I need to step back. I can't release all of my energy on my kids and my husband and everything else I'm involved in. And I'm not even taking care of me. So yeah, that is so powerful, because if we don't do us, then people are just getting the leftovers.
Absolutely.
And then
Yep.
on that note, this whole Unstoppable and creating the book club, we've talked about it before, but especially being online entrepreneurs, and although we're busy and we're networking and we're meeting people all the time, at for me at least, sometimes I feel kind of lonely, and I'm like, how am I going to find people that I vibe with and I attract? And so how do you go about that?
Yeah, that's an incredible question. And that's something that I've been working on extensively, as you know, for the past about 8, 9 months here locally. And, I think what I started to recognize with that was that I still had a few people around me that I didn't really feel were contributing to, raising, as I describe it, raising my vibration, right? And so when we can vibrate at a higher level, we're attracting more good into our life. But if we're kind of hanging around with the people who are, not so happy all the time, and things aren't going so well in their life, so that when you're having conversation with them, they kind of feel kind of down and out sort of thing. And I know we all go through our challenges and things like that, but I'm sure people who are listening can resonate with the fact that we all kind of have people like that around. I slowly started to realize that if I wanted to be successful, I had to surround myself with people that are going to motivate me and lift me up, not try to tear me down. And so and then even Tony talked about this on the weekend at UPW, where he was talking about you are the company that you keep. So we want to constantly be surrounding ourselves with people who are pushing us to be the best possible people that we can be. And that's so important. So for me, I've started, attending workshops that I enjoy, but really pushing myself out of my comfort zone. And instead of being that quiet person that I'm normally very to myself, I'm recognizing this is my opportunity. These are my people. This workshop, whether it's on meditation or, things that I'm interested in, I recognize that these people and I have things in common, that maybe I could take this relationship outside of the yoga studio or outside of this workshop, right? Like I said, I volunteer a lot with something that really lights me up and makes me really passionate. And I've connected with some really cool women. We've got a group chat, and they're foster homes as well. And we come up with these ideas of things that we want to do together to raise awareness for the rescue. And it makes me feel really fulfilled. But there are things that I wouldn't have done if I didn't create these connections and with these women, right? So as an example, I've got a photographer coming over tonight to photograph my 2 little foster puppies, and my friend's bringing her foster kittens, and we're going to blow up the internet with these like super cute photos. But basically what I'm trying to say is, follow your passion, follow your heart. Don't shut yourself away. Your tribe is out there, but you have to go out there and find them, and really be open to connecting with those people. I have attended networking meetings where vibe or my crowd. I know we've talked about this, Heather. So what I did was I didn't really find something that resonated with me in terms of networking with like-minded individuals where I could create those connections. So what I did here locally was I created my own group. And I feel like everybody has the ability to do that. I mentioned about book club. I had this pang in my heart where I'm like, I just want people that I can talk to about this. So I put it out there, right? And there's so much interest that it blew me away. Same with the YEG High Vibe Tribe that I started. Like, we started that back in January, and it's just grown and grown to the point where I feel fulfilled that I had a gal come over to visit yesterday that I met through my tribe that I started. She just found us online, and she comes over all the time now to visit with my fosters and things like that. And that's one thing that she said to me. She said she's moved here from Australia. She didn't know anyone. And the first friends that she made here in Edmonton, who are now really good friends of hers, are all people that she met at the meetings that we hold. So
Wow.
there's the opportunity is out there. If you don't see the opportunity that you want, then it is our, I don't want to say our duty, but we have the ability to create that for ourselves. It's out there. It's under our noses. We've just got to grab it.
Exactly. And actually, being new to California, I came out to San Diego for the summer, and that's where I was. I'm in my 30s, and it's kind of like, how do you make friends at our age? And so when I would meet people, the constant message was, go and do things you enjoy. I don't like sand volleyball. Volleyball is not my game. So why am I going to go out and join these leagues when I don't even enjoy it? So go out and do things I like. And then, yes, it has happened.
Yeah. And I will say some of my closest friends that I have here locally, because I've only lived here in Edmonton like about 4 years, just over 4 years. So I'm new to here as well. When I moved here, I really didn't know many people apart from my husband's friends. But the people I spend the most time with here in Edmonton, there are people that I've really only met, like one of my closest friends, I met her a year ago. There's another girl, I've really only known her a couple months, but we spend a lot of time together. So I think too, there's this like thought too, where a friendship takes so long to build, but really it doesn't.
Right.
It's really only your own internal limitations and what you're willing to do as far as connection, right? Because a lot of us can be very guarded on what we want to share. And I used to always feel so broken, and my past experience, and my dad's a drug addict, and all these things that I would bottle up and hide inside and not want to share with people. But as soon as we open up and be willing to be vulnerable with other people, that's how we create connection. And when we're willing to be open, then we create deeper, meaningful connections more quickly.
Well, and the two huge principles Tony teaches is we believe our inherent fears that we're, quote, born with, that we're not enough and we won't be loved. All these other fears, according to Tony and his research and whoever, are made up. So if we can embrace that I am enough exactly as I am and I am lovable, then that's all we need.
Yeah. I love that. Very good point. I'm so glad you brought that up.
All right. So I would like to wrap this up. I know you've done this before, but rapid fire questions.
Okay.
One, I want to know, what is something that you are going to accomplish from your bucket list this year?
Oh my gosh. I am hosting a tropical retreat in Costa Rica. And that's like huge. I'm like so proud. I'm going to see you there.
I will be there, yes. What is something that you miss doing the old-fashioned way? That's
a really tough question. Where did you come up with that?
Can't tell you.
Oh, honestly, I love face-to-face conversations. I'm not a fan of text messages. I'm that weird, creepy girl that phone calls you instead of texts you.
Yep.
And people are like, why are you calling? Is it an emergency? No, I just wanted to talk.
You're not weird or creepy because I'm that girl.
Yay!
All right. And final question for you is, who inspires you to be better?
That's a good question. Oh, there's a lot of people who inspire me. One of my biggest inspirations is definitely Gabrielle Bernstein. Yeah, she's one of my spiritual mentors, and her work just is always resonates with me, and I love learning from her as much as I can.
Yes, I'm a huge Gabby fan as well. Yeah. Cindy, thank you so much for joining me again today and sharing your stories.
You're so welcome. Thank you for having me, Heather. It's always a pleasure.